The first thing to do is to think of an object, something that you own or lives in your home that makes you feel calm, that comforts you even in a small way. This could be a nice warm cup of tea, your mobile phone, your headphones so that you can listen to music, a good book, or a cuddly toy or teddy. It doesn't have to be any of those things either. It could be whatever you want. Once you've found your object, go and sit somewhere really nice and quiet. Get yourself comfortable, maybe under a blanket, with your object. Now really look at your object. Really look at it. Don't let anything distract you. Think about its colour and the way the light reflects off of your object. Pick it up if you can. What does it feel like? What is its texture? What is its temperature? Lift it to your nose if you can. What does it smell like? Does it make a sound if you touch it or tap it? Now I'd like you to answer the following question. Why have I chosen this object? To elaborate, this could be why. Think about maybe like why your object makes you feel calm or comforted. When do you turn to this object? Why this object? So yeah, please write down the answer to the question, why have I chosen this object? Now you need to get your piece of paper and split it into 6 boxes that are roughly equal. In each box, you are going to answer the following question about your object. Box number 1. What is your object? Write it down. Box number 2. Where does your object live in your house? Be specific here. Don't just name the room. I'd like to know the exact spot where it can be found. Box number 3. What physical changes do you experience when you have the object? What happens to your breathing? What happens to your muscles when you are holding the object? Box number 4. Do you let anyone share the object? Explain your answer here. Box number 5. If your object was an emotion, what emotion would it be? If your object had a leading personality trait, what would it be? It's a little bit more abstract, that question. And the final box, if you could compare the way this object makes you feel to anything at all, what would you compare it to? Now this is a simile. What would you compare it to? Read through your responses at this point and feel free to pause this video if you need a little bit more time to think through. So, for each object, try and include 1 or 2 adjectives to really help the reader see the object before them. You could even add alliteration, simile or metaphor. For example, if I chose the book, I may write down the inelegant, discoloured paperback book. Once you've done this with every single box, add in this lovely figurative language. I'd now like you to pick 2 boxes that you feel really happy with. 2 boxes that really describe your object perfectly to you. And you're going to add even more detail to these 2 boxes that you've chosen. These are now going to be sensory description, such as touch and sound, smell, sight and taste. You don't need to add all of these things to the boxes, but just pick 1 or 2 that you could really create some meaty descriptions there. You could even add more abstract descriptions about your thoughts and feelings when with the object. So for example, my sentence has now been extended. The inelegant, discoloured paperback book provides a world of escapism for me. Now the reason why we've been doing this is because I'd love it if you could create a bop poem about your object. Now a bop poem has 3 stanzas. Stanzas are just like verses really. The first stanza has 3 lines. The second has 4 lines. And the third stanza has 3 lines. There's also always a refrain, a repeated line that appears in between each stanza. I feel like you've already done that part though, because do you remember at the start of this session when I asked you to answer, why have you chosen this object? Well, your answer to this question could be the refrain that will be repeated throughout your poem. Obviously, you may want to rewrite the sentence a bit, and that's completely fine, but that's just an idea. Use all the beautiful language you have already generated and order the lines into the structure for your BOP poem. You do not have to share any of your work with us today, but if you'd like to, we would love to hear from you. You could post any of your work on our social media platforms, or you could email us. Just go to our website and you'll find the email address there. If you're part of one of our regular out-of-school programs, then please upload your work to your Seesaw journal. Thanks so much for taking part.